Hello and welcome back to all my fans to my channel. This is part 2 in the series, the 8-part series of GCSE AQA Higher Triple Science Paper 1 Biology for June 2024. Now, this is a walkthrough video and there are 8 questions in paper 1 and I'm making a separate video for each of the questions. Now, this video is for question 2, which is going to focus on digestion, respiration, gas exchange, and the application question. Now, this is a very typical paper 1 biology question. It's also where most of my FAMs lose marks because of imprecise wording, not because they don't know biology. Now, if any parent is tuning in, please listen carefully to how marks are awarded, because this will help you guide your child when they're reviewing papers at home. So let's go straight to question 2. As I've already advised, always have a look at how many marks. So question 2.1 is for 1 mark. And we are expected for 1 mark either to write a sentence or a couple of words or sometimes even a single word. Now to the question. So cystic fibrosis is an inherited disorder caused by a faulty gene. And the question is saying, where in a cell would the CF gene be found? Now, this is, as I said, a 1 mark recall question. In eukaryotic cells, the genetic material is found in the nucleus. Now, AQA will also allot the word chromosome. It's not exactly ideal, but that will also be allowed, but no marks for writing DNA. Now, DNA on its own is ignored by the examiners because it does not specifically answer where it is found. So the common mistake for this question is writing DNA without actually naming the location nucleus. Now, let's move on to question 2.2. So here we can see that there's a figure given which is showing us the organs of human body, and again it is a 1 marker, and we can see it is a multiple choice question. Now, which letter in figure 2 shows the lungs, pancreas, and small intestine? So they want the lungs, pancreas, and the small intestine, and the correct answer is A, which are the lungs. The small intestine is D, and E are the pancreas. Now, F is showcasing the liver, C is large intestine, and B is the stomach. Now, this is a selection question. There is no partial credit or marks awarded here. You must choose all 3 correct letters and only those 3. Even if 1 extra letter is included or is wrong, the mark would be lost. Now, these questions test attention to detail, not the difficulty or the know-how of biology. Let's move on to question number 2.3. Now, what's important here is this is a 6 marker. Now, it's very important to understand how to answer 6 marker questions. So how to answer 6 marker questions in biology GCSE papers, or be it any other science, it's important. Now, let's go through this question and I will also give you some tips as we progress. Now, what is AQA testing us with this question? Let's read the question first. The pancreas produces several digestive enzymes. CF reduces the amount of each enzyme that reaches the small intestine. So explain why a person with CF, as in cystic fibrosis, has difficulty digesting food and thereby difficulty gaining body mass. Now, even before we go into the question, the first thing, look at the marks. If it's a 6 marker, it's very important to read the question properly, the command words, as I call. Here, our command word is explain. So when we say explain, we have to give them the reasons why. If they say describe, we need to say what happens. If they say evaluate, we are talking about pros and cons and giving a conclusion. If they're asking compare, we are calling out the similarities and differences. And if they say discuss, they're expecting us to give out a balanced argument. Now we're going to identify the topic. This topic is about digestion, the roles of the enzymes and what are they, absorption, respiration, and linking the cause and effect, the difficulty digesting food, and because of that gaining body mass. Now, in a 6-marker question, you have level 1, level 2, and level 3. To get all 6 out of 6 marks, you have to attain level 3. You should cover both why and explain it is difficult digesting food in CF and why thereby it is difficult gaining body mass, and communication, your English, your grammar, your sentences, and how logically you're connecting them is emphasized and marked here. Now, let's kind of do a flow chart for this. We have digestive enzymes. Now, in a normal person, digestive enzymes will help digest the food and they break down the food. In CF, or in a patient with CF, the digestive enzymes are not produced. They are not produced. Therefore, food cannot be broken down properly. Yeah, once again, in a patient who has cystic fibrosis, they do not produce digestive enzymes, or there is a lack of digestive enzymes. Therefore, food cannot be broken down properly. Now, you have to name the enzymes to get those 6 marks. For example, lipase breaks down fats, and it will break down fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Then we also have amylase. Now, amylase breaks down other carbohydrates into glucose. Protease, P for protease and P for proteins. It breaks down proteins into amino acids. Now, this is the required factual knowledge for this question. Now we're going to say, without these enzymes, large food molecules cannot be digested into small soluble molecules. So, large food molecules are not being digested. Into what format? Large becomes small. Soluble, because they have to dissolve in the blood and cross the intestine and go into the blood so that they are available for all different organs. So small soluble molecules. So without these enzymes, this process is not happening. As a result, these molecules cannot be absorbed. So they cannot be absorbed into the bloodstream. So that's where you have answered difficulty digesting the food. So they cannot be absorbed into the bloodstream. Now what happens? This leads to fewer amino acids and carbohydrates and fatty acids being available to build proteins, because these small soluble molecules which build proteins and muscle in the body tissues, there are fewer of them available. So because of that, fewer molecules of amino acids and then glucose and glycerol, which build the body mass and tissue. So they build up body mass and tissue. So there is less glucose for respiration, less energy is released, fewer amino acids available to build proteins, muscle, and body tissues. Therefore, with less energy and fewer building materials, the person finds it difficult to gain body mass. Now, in this question, to get the top marks, all the 6 out of 6, you need to talk about the different enzymes, the digestion, the absorption, and the energy and growth. If you just list enzymes, you would stay at level 1 and 2, and the maximum marks you can score would be 3 or 4. Well done, I'm sure that you guys are doing great so far. Let's move on to the next question, 2.4. Now, this question is the adaptations for gas exchange. Now, let's read the question, and we've already noticed it is a 3-marker. Gas exchange happens in the alveoli in the lungs. Describe, that's our command word. Describe 3 features of the alveoli that help maximize gas exchange. Now, the 3 answers here, which we can go ahead and write. 1 is the large surface area of the lungs. The second one is we have many capillaries, which provide a good blood supply. And the third one is the capillary walls. They are thin walls. They are only 1 cell thick. Now, this is a classic gas exchange question. You get 1 mark per correct adaptation, but they must be biologically accurate. Just don't say, fams, that thin cell walls, that is incorrect for alveoli. Okay, so some of the words which are ignored as adaptations is the pleural membranes are moist, there's a seed concentration gradient, or any kind of references to any of the pleural membranes is ignored because they're specifically asking for adaptations here, features of the alveoli. So you have to write about the features of the alveoli which are helping maximize the gas exchange. Now, let's move on to question number 2.5. Cystic fibrosis reduces the amount of oxygen that can enter the blood from the alveoli. Explain how a reduced amount of oxygen entering the blood will affect the human body. This is for 3 marks. Now, we can either explain through the routes of aerobic or anaerobic, whichever you choose to answer. Now, if we talk in terms of aerobic, if there is decreased aerobic respiration, as a result of that, there is less energy which is being released and therefore causes less muscle contraction. And because of this increased heart and breathing rate. Yes, everyone? That is for the aerobic respiration. Let's say we are explaining in terms of anaerobic respiration. Now, reduced amount of oxygen, it means increased anaerobic respiration. It means more lactic acid is produced, which increases muscle fatigue and pain. Well done again for keeping up throughout the question. We are just in the last few minutes. So, if less oxygen is available, aerobic respiration decreases. This means less energy is released, resulting in weaker muscle contractions. Alternatively, the body switches to anaerobic respiration, which produces lactic acid. And as you all fams know, lactic acid causes muscle fatigue and pain and increases breathing rate to repay oxygen debt. Now, the trap here by the examiner. Remember, energy is not produced, it is released, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So therefore, that's the end of question 2. Question 2 is linking biology together. Marks are not just for the buzzwords or keywords. Here, throughout the question, we have established cause and effect explanations. If you will lose marks here, if you just list the facts but you do not explain why. In the next video, I will be doing question 3 of the same paper. Now, if this explanation has helped you, please do like, subscribe, and share, especially with other students and parents who are helping their kids for revising GCSEs. And again, I'm stressing out more and more on this. Please don't forget to watch my 5-point revision plan video so you know how to use these paper walkthroughs properly. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.